Our topic today is get a grip on your life. You have a space that belongs particularly and uniquely to you. Your thoughts, your attitude, your emotions, who you spend time with, what you watch, read, listen to. That's your space. That's what you have control over. Now, the reason that some people live worried, depressed, offended, negative, with a chip on their shoulder all the time is because they just let everything in. They listen to the news all day. They spend half the day scrolling. Their screen time is in triple digits. They go to lunch with people that are critical. Gossip. Somebody cuts them off in traffic. That sours the whole rest of their morning. The problem is they're not getting a grip on their lives. You have to be careful what you allow in. You can't stop everything from coming, but you can stop it from getting down and affecting your spirit. Rather, you need to choose an atmosphere which is surcharged with faith, full of praise, pregnant with hope, full of victory. Anything that tries to poison that atmosphere, it's up to you to say, no thanks. You're not welcome here. No vacancy. Frances Ridley Havergal is a young woman. You see the dates of her lifespan there, 1836 to 1879. She had an explosive temper. Anything would set her off. She would go from 0 to 90 over the slightest little pretext. And afterwards, as a Christian lady, she would be very mortified, extremely embarrassed, and she would confess it to the Lord. Then she would lose her temper, and this went on and on and on, over and over again. One day, after a particularly bad explosion, nuclear, she threw herself down on her knees with tears pouring from her eyes, and she said, Lord, is it always going to be this way? Am I always going to have this anger management problem? They didn't use those words in those days, but that was the idea. At that point, she later claimed in her biography that she heard the Lord speak to her from within her heart in a still, quiet voice. Frances, if you channel your literary talents to honor me in poetry and hymns, I will subdue your anger forever. She says, Lord, seriously? I'll never be angry again? God said back to her, yep, no more, forever free. Frances never again in her life lost her temper. She believed that God had done a miracle in her life. By his help, she'd replaced passion with praise. And can I tell you today that praise is the best way to lengthen your fuse and expand your self-control. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Her anger management program is apparent in one of her most popular hymns. Take my life, Lord, let it be consecrated to thee. Take my moments and my days, let them flow in ceaseless praise. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of thy love. Take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for thee. Take my lips and let them sing, always only for my King. Take my mouth and let it be filled with messages from thee. Take my silver and my gold, not a mite would I withhold. Take my intellect, use every power as thou shalt choose. Take my will and make it thine, it shall be no longer mine. Take my heart, it is thine own, it shall be thy royal throne. Take my love, my Lord, I pour at thy feet as treasure store. Take myself and I will be ever only, all for thee. C. Leslie Charles, author of a book called Why Is Everyone So Cranky?, writes, have you noticed how angry people seem these days? Road rage, airplane rage, grocery store rage, violence at youth sporting events. We're talking about a fuming, nuclear, explosive, unrelenting sense of anger, hostility, and alienation that simmers just below the surface for months, maybe even years, without relief. And eventually all it takes is a single triggering incident, usually very, very minor, for the person to go ballistic. Cell phones, pagers, high-tech devices, they allow us to be interrupted anywhere at any time. And so this constant accessibility and this compulsive technology fragments, breaks into pieces what little time and attention and self-control we have, adding to our sense of emergency, urgency, and overload. Our message today is you can't let that chatter in. Live upset. You have to put your foot down and say, sorry, gossip, you're not welcome here. Sorry, bitterness, there's no place for you. I'm going to live my life in peace. I'm going to enjoy this day. You don't have any control over me. You can do whatever you want. You have a right to say whatever you want. But I also have the responsibility to exercise my God-given authority over my thoughts, my attitude, and my responses. It is said that a person that doesn't have a grip on their life is like a city with broken walls. You know, in medieval days, the safety of the city was in direct proportion to the integrity of its walls. You break down the walls, and then anybody could come in and take the city, do whatever atrocities they want. James Gambarino, professor at Cornell University, describes a major social shift. Quote, "There's a general breakdown of social conventions, of manners, of social controls. This gives a validation of permission to be aggressive. Kids used to be guided," we might also say politicians, used to be guided by a social convention that said, keep the lid on. Today, they are more guided by the direction of taking it off. The problem is, if you don't keep walls up around your spirit, you don't make boundaries, you don't get a grip, keep the lid on, then everything is going to get on the inside. You won't be able to sleep at night because of what they said or what they did to you, because your business is slowed down, you lost a client, your child is off course. Instead of knowing that Krishna or God is your source, that He's going to provide, in His absence, stress is going to come, anxiety. What if this happens? What if that happens? What am I going to do? Somebody's talking about you, trying to make you look bad. Instead of letting Krishna fight your battles and let it go, you let the offense in. You live defensive, trying to prove to them that you're really okay. Wasting valuable time on battles that don't matter a fig. I'll tell you, you don't need people's approval. Krishna or God has already approved you in the manner of your creation. Now keep your walls up. Quit allowing all that into your spirit. Your time here is too short, too valuable, your assignment too important to let everything in. Be selective. If it's not positive, if it's not faith-building, if it's not hopeful, if it is not of a good report, then do not dwell on it. You can't control the whole world, but you can control your response. Krodha bhavati samaha. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, anger leads to clouding of judgment. Clouding of judgment ends up in the bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intellect gets destroyed. And when intellect gets destroyed, all self-control is gone and one is ruined. Negative things are going to come. We just have to remember, we are the rulers of our own lives. We have the God-given authority to decide what we allow in. You log into the news these days and there's so much that's negative. We hear how bad things are, the divisiveness in politics, the wars in the Middle East, the war in Europe, the unrest in society. You can't let all that get in. The disrespect, the anger is going to pollute your thoughts, steal your joy, and make you live your life sour. Be proactive. What are you watching? What are you listening to? That's what's going to build you up or not. Is it making you positive? Is it giving you hope? Or tearing you down, stressing you out, getting you angry, upset? You don't need that in your intimate, personal space. Life is hard enough as it is without bringing all these negative things in to make it impossible. I heard about a man every day on the way to work. He listened to politics and news. People would get on and they'd argue and they'd debate. He would get so riled up, so upset, that by the time he got to work, he was already on edge. He was already angry. After a while, he took a good look at himself and he said, I didn't like who I'd become. Nobody at the office wanted to be around me. I was hard to get along with. And one day, he came across a radio station, very similar to our 1480 KHQN, Radio Krishna. He started listening. Instead of putting in all that negative stuff on the way to work, he started putting in uplifting, words of encouragement, hope, victory. The result was, he said, I'm a different person now. I'm positive. I'm grateful. I look forward to work. I enjoy the people, and the people enjoy me. His co-workers even asked, what happened to you? You're so much happier now. You're so much more friendly. And the answer is he got rid of all the poison. Stopped letting it in. Now, I like to know the headlines. I like to be informed. But you can't listen to the news for hours a day and stay in faith. You can't take that into your spirit and simultaneously have the energy, the focus, the creativity to enjoy your life. Well, true. I just wish that Krishna would help me to do better. Krishna's already made you fearfully and wonderfully. He's already given you authority. You're sons and daughters of the Almighty God. You have the DNA of champion in your blood. He created you a king. He's given you authority, the power to rule your space. Not to rule everything that's going around you, but you can rule what's get in. So our question today is, are your walls up? Are you ruling your own spirit, or are you letting it be ruled by circumstances and people? Perhaps the most important element in all of this is who you're spending time with. Evaluate your friendships, your inner circle. Are they making you better? Are they inspiring you? Are they challenging you, uplifting you to go further? Or are they dragging you down, causing you to compromise, bringing out the worst in you, contaminating your atmosphere? We don't honestly have time to waste with people that are not adding value to our life. It's amazing the difference it will make if you'll surround yourself with people who inspire you, people who challenge you, people who encourage you to go further. Iron sharpens iron. So get around sharp people, and you'll find that your own talents and abilities will also become better. Here's a key. If you aspire to soar with eagles, if you have great dreams in your life, you want to achieve great things, then don't hang around chickens. Chickens are people who have their head down. They look at the ground. They're focused on all the things they can't do. They're moaning about how the problems are too big, the situation's too far gone. Nobody who ever got to be anybody spent their time hanging around with chicken-like people. People who make compromise, who sing the same sad old story every day, take the easy way out, embrace mediocrity. You won't see greatness hanging around chickens or crows, people that complain, that find fault, that see the worst. God created us to be eagles. He created us to soar. Now, to do that, you have to associate with other eagles. People that inspire you to rise higher and not people that drag you down. Honestly, there are certain people that when they're around them, and we've all experienced this before, they drain your energy. Always having a problem, always telling you what's wrong, always telling you how bad life is, sucking all of your energy out. You spend an hour with them, and when you leave, you feel like you just ran a marathon. You can't take that on a regular basis and achieve your God-given potential. It's fine to help them, give them an encouraging word, but if you're doing all that giving and not getting any of the receiving, that's out of balance. You need people who encourage you. You need people who speak life into you. Don't sit inactive around the opposite type of people who you know are holding you back, limiting you, suppressing the best in you. Well, true, if I don't hang around them, I won't have any friends. I've known them since junior high school. I'll be lonely. Well, you might be lonely for a season, but here's what will happen. When you give up those deadbeat friends, Krishna will appreciate that sacrifice, and he'll reciprocate by bringing you new friends, better friends, people that push you up and don't drag you down. You can't rule other people's lives. You can't make them do what's right, but you can rule your life and decide who you're going to spend time with. It is said, hold your peace, remain at rest, and Krishna, God, will fight your battles. You may be in a situation that's unfair. Somebody did you wrong. You may be dealing with an illness. You went through a loss. Now you could be worried, could be bitter, could be upset. But why? You can't control what happened. You can't make that go away. You can't change the past. Rather, this is the time to dig down deep and say, I'm keeping my walls up. I'm not letting that negative get into my spirit. I'm going to keep singing praises. I'm going to keep thanking Krishna. I'm going to keep speaking victory in my life. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When you live life at peace like that, Krishna will fight your battles. He'll take care of your enemies. He'll pay back you for all those unfair things. It is said he will give you beauty for ashes. Now, don't be controlled by what you have no control over. You can't stop the critics, the unfair things from coming, but you can learn that they're sent just to test you, to see if your walls are strong in the Lord. One lady told how one of her husband's relatives was very opinionated, constantly making these cutting, demeaning remarks towards her. The couple hadn't been married for that long, and every time they were at a family reunion, this man would invariably say something that offended this man's new wife. She would get upset, and for her it would sour the whole trip. It happened over and over like clockwork. She got to where she dreaded going to these family reunions. Finally, she told her husband, Fred, you have to do something about this man. He's your relative. She expected him to say, you're right, honey. Nobody should talk to you like that. I'll go set him straight. But the husband said instead, honey, I love you, but I can't control him. He has every right to have his opinion. He can say whatever he wants. But here's the key. You have every right to not let it offend you. He was giving her some good advice. You have to rule your atmosphere. You have to put your walls up. You can't keep offenses from coming, but you can keep them from getting in. Well, that day was a turning point for this lady. The man didn't change. He kept making the insulting remarks, but she changed. She quit letting them push her buttons. She quit letting him contaminate her space. She quit giving away her power to this cheap shot fellow. In other words, she got a grip in her life. All too often, I think you'll agree, we're waiting for the circumstances to change. We're waiting for the person to change. When this pandemic is over, then I'll quit being stressed. When my boss treats me better, then I'll quit dreading going to work. When I get through this illness, then I'll quit being so worried. No, now's the time to rule your space. Get a grip. Guard your heart. You have the authority to allow in only what you want. You don't have to let the offense, the worry, the self-pity, quit dwelling on it. When it comes up in your mind, turn it around and say, Krishna, thank you that you're fighting my battles. Thank you that your being for me is more than the whole world being against me. Short story in this connection. One time the demigods, they became curious to know of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, which one had the greatest grip over their emotions, which one was the most self-controlled and unshakable. So they deputed the sage Bhrigu Muni to find out. So he insulted each one of these three demigods in a different way, progressively from less serious to more serious. There are three ways you can insult people: verbal, mental, or corporeal. Corporeal is the most serious. So to Bhrigu's father, Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, he approached him and he committed a mental offense by omitting to offer respects to your father. This was common in Vedic culture. So Brahma got angry and he wanted to punish his son. But then to Brahma's credit, he got his anger under control by virtue of his intelligence. That means that all the quality of passion was prominent in Brahma. He had the power to control it. Like fire and water. Water is produced actually from fire at the beginning of creation, but at the same time, paradoxically, fire can be extinguished with water. So Lord Brahma got very angry. He allowed Bhrigu to get into his head due to his quality of passion, but he was able to control his passion, thinking that Bhrigu was his son. We learn from this that when trouble comes, you don't have to get upset. When your plans don't work out, you don't have to fall apart. Someone's rude, you don't have to get offended, even though that may have been their intention. You don't have to do what they want you to do because you have the power to remain calm because you are a king. Krishna has wonderfully and fearfully made you, given you the authority over your kingdom, your mind, your attitude, your response. He hasn't given you authority over others. You can't rule others. You can't rule your circumstances. That's all in Krishna's hands. But you can control what you can control. And you can trust that Krishna will take care of what it is that you can't control. Then Bhrigu went to Lord Shiva and he committed a more egregious offense, which was verbal. Lord Shiva rushed forward to embrace Bhrigu, who is his brother. Now, Lord Shiva doesn't even build a house for himself. He lives in lonely, solitary places in the Himalayas. And sometimes he's even meditating in the crematorium to remind himself of how temporal everything in this world is. So when Lord Shiva, being enthusiastic to see his brother for a long time, went to embrace Bhrigu, Bhrigu said, Oh, you smell. You stink. Don't touch me. Lord Shiva destroys the universe at the time of cosmic annihilation. So you don't want to offend Lord Shiva. And indeed, he cocked his trident. He was definitely, as far as he was concerned, this guy was toast. But his wife, Parvati, threw herself in Lord Shiva, said, Lord, you don't want to do this. This is your brother. Your reputation will be ruined forever. So with sweet words, she talked him out of killing Bhrigu Muni. Similarly, when you had a setback, you're facing opposition, you have an unfair situation that comes up, it's very important how we react. The enemy is going to test you by bombarding your space, by knocking at the door, by trying to get into your mind and your emotions, and even use other people to try and discourage you, get you worried, full of doubt. Why did this happen? That's when you have to put your foot down, exercise authority, and say, no, I'm not allowing that in my atmosphere. I'm not dwelling in it. I'm not reliving the hurts. I'm not thinking about what didn't work out. I'm going to stay in faith because I know that Krishna, God, is still on the throne. I know that I'm a work in progress and that what he started, he will finish. I have an awesome future if I pass the test and keep a grip on my life. Now, finally, after being saved from the anger of Lord Shiva by Parvati, Bhrigu went to the planet of Shwetadeep, where Lord Vishnu lies down on Sheshanaga, being tended to by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. And here's where Bhrigu commits the most egregious of all offenses. First was mental, second was verbal, but now is corporeal. What does he do? Lord Vishnu is reclining. He puts his foot right on Vishnu's chest. And if you're from the Vedic culture, that is a big no-no. Festival events you watch, like Janmashtami, you have Diwali coming up. You'll have a whole room full of people sitting. Someone wants to go out or someone wants to come in. They'll go like this. Please move your hands and your feet. I don't want to step over even your finger or your hand. What to speak of put my foot right on your chest. You have to be an heir to the Vedic culture to know truly how serious and offensive this move was. What was Lord Vishnu's reaction? He said, my dear Bhrigu Muni, it is my greatest fortune that you have come here. Please sit down on this cushion for a few minutes. You must have come a long way. You're tired. I'm sorry that when you came here, I remained horizontal, that I wasn't anticipating your arrival and already upright to offer you water and a sitting place. I'm an offender and I hope you'll forgive me for that. Your lotus feet, I feel in my chest, is like a massage. Very soft and tender. It's like you just put a lotus flower in my chest. I hope my chest, which is as hard as a thunderbolt, didn't harm your lotus-like feet. I hope you didn't get any pain by kicking my chest. Oh, let me give you a foot massage for all that you've suffered. And indeed, Lord Vishnu began to massage the feet of Bhrigu Muni. In the Bhagavad Gita, this kind of unshakability, unperturbability is described by Krishna. He says, a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, but the ocean itself is always still, such a person alone, no matter what the provocation, what the circumstances, what the critic, what the offender, such a person alone who is not disturbed can achieve peace, and not the person who gets his back up every time something disturbs him. You have to learn to take the high road, give offenders mercy, control what you can control, and let Krishna take care of the rest. In other words, get a grip of your thoughts, get a grip of your emotions, get a grip of your attitude, and that allows Krishna to do his part. That allows Krishna to make things happen that you couldn't make happen on your own. Right in the beginning of every day, from the time you get up in the morning, make the decision, I'm going to rule my thoughts today. I'm not just going to think whatever comes into my mind. I'm going to think on purpose thoughts that are positive, hopeful, encouraging. I'm going to rule who I spend time with today. I'm not going to just hang out with anyone. I'm going to be selective. I'm going to associate with eagles. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to stay in peace. I'm going to rule my space today. Forgive wrongs, overlook insults, give people the benefit of the doubt. Now, it's important to make this decision ahead of time before you leave the house. Nothing that happens is going to upset me. I'm going to stay in peace throughout the entirety of this day. That way, when difficulties come, the traffic is bad, your boss is rude, your child has a problem, you've already decided to guard your heart. You have your walls up. You're not going to live upset. You go through the day expecting the best, but knowing that everything may not be perfect. There might be delays, interruptions, people that are hard to deal with, but I'm not going to let that ruin my day. I'm going to keep the negative out. I'm going to allow Krishna or God to direct my steps. Whatever happens, it may be a surprise to me. It may come out of left field for me. It may be a curveball for me, but it's not a surprise to him. He's already given me the power to remain calm in times of adversity. He doesn't give me the power to avoid diversity. He doesn't say that I won't have challenges. He doesn't promise that every day will be a perfect day, but every day can be a darn good day if you rule your space. So quit waiting for circumstances to be perfect. You can have a good day in the middle of an epidemic. You can have a good day even amongst envious coworkers. You can have a good day even though you're dealing with an illness. You can have a good day even though some people hate your guts. Stay calm, stay in faith, and rule. Make the decision. This is a day the Lord has made. I'm going to live it in faith. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be good to others. I'm going to make the most of this day. I'm going to honor the Lord by chanting His holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. People are always going to be trying to bring their atmosphere into your atmosphere. People that are hurting, people that have issues, people that are dealing with things, they try to put their poison in you. They may not be bad people, but it is said that hurt people like to hurt other people. The mistake that we make all too often is we take the bait. We let the offense in. We let them drag us down. We let what they did affect us. But you don't overcome evil with more evil. You overcome evil with good. You've heard this phrase, kill them with kindness. Your enemies can't stand it when they do their best to push your buttons and you just smile back at them and say, have a good day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We are advised to be calm, cool, steady. Not to let things upset us too easily, the traffic, the weather, the grumpy clerk. And I wonder this afternoon just how much more some of you would enjoy life, how much higher some of you would go if you'd start getting a grip on your life, keeping your walls up, not letting everything get into your spirit, knowing you can't stop it from coming, but you can keep it from getting down into you. You're a king, you're a queen, you have a kingdom, you're put in charge of your thoughts, your attitude. So our encouragement this afternoon is you start ruling your space. You get a grip on your life. You make a decision that when you awake in the morning, you're going to stay in peace. You're not going to let things upset you. You're going to be cool, calm, and steady. If you do this, I promise that you're not only going to enjoy life more, but you're going to see much, much, much more of Krishna, God's favor. He's going to fight your battles, take care of what's trying to stop you. You're going to rise higher, overcome obstacles, and see new levels of your destiny in this life. And next life, you're going to go back to home, back to God. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Let's all raise our arms. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.